Is it working? This gives me a heart attack. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you're listening to Chew the Scene, a talk show where we dish out real conversations
With real people.
about real life. So,
sit at our buffet and chew with us. Hello.
Thank you.
Hi.
Once again.
I feel like
Quarantine.
chew the quarantine. I feel like we're on the Brady Bunch here. I'm like pointing at, pointing
I'm
up
still
to
looking
you.
at
And
myself. I'm still looking at myself. I cannot look at myself. I get too confused. Anyway, chew the scene, chew the quarantine from our homes, sponsored by Homegrown Radio NJ.org. We miss our studio. We miss being live there. Kevin Lynch Music Services for that awesome intro, and Shakeman O'Neill's Kids Books for our amazing logo, with a little adjustment by Decamp.
what? I gotta say, I was actually looking up images of our studio so we could do a little virtual background. And I found a really great one, but I couldn't take it off of Google. It wasn't letting me. So we're gonna keep working on that.
We will. We're getting better and better each week.
Yeah.
So Danny was on, he was literally toggling. You were on a Zoom meeting before.
I was.
Or a Zoom call from work.
It was for the New Jersey Theater Alliance. It was all about sensory-friendly programming. And what was really cool about it was your boss from MPAC, from Mayo Performing Arts Center, Kathy Roy, was presenting along with a couple other people, and they were just sharing, what type of sensory-friendly programming they're doing. The Growing Stage has been doing sensory-friendly for like a year now. So, but we're always looking for ways to improve it. And they were also talking about digital programming, which, of course, because of what we're going through right now, finding ways to do some digital programming that are aimed at sensory-friendly audiences. So yeah, it was good.
I think we talked about that last week. You know what? I don't even know anymore what day it is, where I am, but how we are been thrust into this technology crash course, but we're also being thrown into this old-timey world too. Like people are baking bread and making their own. I mean, I know someone my cousin knows someone making her own yeast.
Her own yeast?
Her own yeast.
Well, you know what I made the other day?
What?
I made fresh applesauce.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I have this super fancy Pampered Chef blender, and it cooks your food. So I was cooking my own applesauce that I can then, I don't know, pretend why not?
Do you know what I just pulled out? I found my slicer from Pampered Chef. I'm gonna make homemade potato chips, I think, tonight.
Yes.
I have the potato chip thing. I have to remember to do that. So yeah, I've been really. I was lying in bed last night and I'm like, what am I gonna make for dinner tomorrow night? And Todd's like, you are literally a 1950s housewife. I go, I literally.
But you know what? You've always been like that. You love to cook. You love to cook. When you cook, you go all out. I think that's the Italian mama in you.
It is the Italian mama in me. And I'm enjoying, as much as I miss, I miss people. I miss the energy that we get from other people that you give and take when you're in their presence. I miss all that stuff, but I'm really enjoying discovering things about myself, which I think I always knew were there, but I would brush them aside a little bit because I was so on the go.
Yeah.
So I'm appreciating finding out these self-discovery things. I sent you, I know this is the always what are you talking about? But I sent you a text. I've been working on something that I'm going to surprise someone with. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do know what you're talking about. And he's going to love that. He's going to love that, by the way, too.
What happened?
I said he's going to love that.
I know. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say what it is in case this person chimes in. I know this is kind of a jerk thing for me to say, but we had no power on Monday.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we lost our power. So I was instead of getting annoyed, which I was, why. I mean, it was a windstorm. I said, you know what? I made my coffee in my French press. So I did that, and I sat literally like a cat in the window, and I started working on this project, this art project. And
isn't it fun?
It was so relaxing. It to pass the time, and it was just like me and this project.
Yeah.
My kids were doing their work, so it was this has been a spiritual ride for me, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
I've enjoyed, I told you I've been doing like crafty things and, you know, puzzles, and I don't know. My mother says I'm like a 60-year-old woman, which whatever.
You want to be a 60-year-old woman. That's okay.
I'm just like, it's like you said, it's very calming. And I feel like because of what's going on, we're so stressed out and so like anxiety ridden, you know, times 100 than we were before, that we need to find ways to like kind of zen out. And I had mentioned to you too, I've been doing a lot of organizing. I finally like, I'm in my bedroom. My bedroom's been such a hot mess. Like I finally like reorganized it. And don't you feel really good when you do something like that? Like all of a sudden now you're like, I want to hang out in here, and I want to, you know, go to bed early and relax in my new bedroom, even though all I did was move stuff around. I just moved stuff around, and I really like cleaned stuff up. And I actually hung up my diplomas, like my college diplomas and everything, which I've had for, I don't know, like when I went to grad school, I've had that one for like 8 years, and I got it like professionally framed. I spent like $100 on it, and I'm like, this piece of paper is worth so much money. It should be hanging. And I finally hung it up. I think I was waiting for like a big office to hang it up in. So it's in my bedroom now, and I could wake up in the morning and stare at it and either be proud or reminded of my student debt. So
well, you know, my thing is don't wait, just do.
Oh, totally.
Because you know what, we'll wait our lives away.
Yeah, you're right.
We'll wait our lives away. You know, I do want to mention, just because you know, my aunt passed away on Monday.
Yeah.
She went into the hospital. Gosh, it was really when this pandemic happened. And you know, 4 weeks later, and I will say it's an odd feeling to have a family member in the hospital at this time, whether they have COVID or whether they have something else, because they're not allowing people in the hospital. And it's weird to have a family member or someone you love, a friend, go into the hospital and then not see them again.
Yeah, I actually, one of my best friends, his grandmother passed away, and she went into the hospital because her diabetes, her levels were high.
Yeah.
And she ended up passing. And they ended up testing her, and it was because of, it was a complication, but she did test positive for COVID-19. So they're saying that she got it while she was there.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, my cousin's a doctor in the hospital, and I'll tell you, I talk to her like every day.
And I love the photos you share of her. What a warrior. She's
an amazing woman. I Zoom a lot with my family. We actually are going to Zoom tonight about my aunt. We're going to have a nice little toast to her in Irish. You know, we're going to do something for her when we get released from this, but we're going to do an Irish toast. But she said, and she sent me a text, and I said, can I share it? And then she was like, I don't know. And then she was like, you know what? Oh my God, she just called me just now. That is so weird.
Yeah, you were muted for a second there.
Yeah, she just called me. But she said that they're not alone. She said that I think the image in our head is that it's just chaos. And while it is, I think, emotional chaos, she said to me early on that they are not alone, that they are surrounded by the doctors and the nurses and all the people that have been there with them. And she said, and believe me, they care.
Doesn't that put you at ease, knowing that, hearing that, but also knowing that you have someone who's on the front lines?
Yes.
You know, keeping you informed. I think that that's great.
And she said, wear your masks, because because what's happening is now the hospital staffs are getting sick. So just do your part, stay home, or if you have to go out, wear a freaking mask. Like what? It's not the government trying to control you, telling you what to do. We're trying to flatten this curve.
Right.
And we already have these people at risk. So the more we send these people in the hospital, these doctors and nurses are getting sick too. So we got to do our part. I don't understand the whole not wanting to wear a mask thing.
We're, not to get political, because we don't do that on here, but we're fortunate enough, we're in the epicenter, right? And we're fortunate enough that we have that I feel people are taking it seriously, because I'm reading about all these other states where they're protesting to open up businesses, and I'm just like, you have no idea what it's like, because you're not dealing with what we have right now. So I'm happy that we're not hearing about that in New Jersey or in New York, that people are like protesting or anything like that. I feel
no, they're not
aware of it. Yes, there are people that are still not wearing masks, or they're not following certain things. They're still having gatherings. It was really upsetting to hear about people having gatherings for Easter. I was like, I'm sorry, but I was not with my family at Easter, and that's okay, because there will be other Easters. That's, if we do our part, we're going to get through this.
We are. And you know what? I truly believe I actually have arrived at the acceptance portion of this whole thing. I've already mourned my life that was, and I'm ready to move forward into the life that will be. So I'm using this time now to get creative, build relationships, whether it's on Zoom, on a phone call. For me, it's I don't know. It's, I guess I'm just saying, I take it day by day, minute by minute, because it could change. It could change. But we're excited today. What time is it?
Let's change the dial. Nothing sad now.
Nothing sad now. So, because I think we all go through this, guys. I mean, we're all
and it's important to talk about it, and that's what's great about it. Talk to somebody about it. But we have someone super, super special. So why don't you introduce our special guest, Lauren?
Yes, I'm really excited because this is our second Zoom conference call, Facebook Live interview. And I reached out to this person, actor, author on Facebook, and he was like, yes, absolutely. And I know a lot of you know the name, and I'm very excited to welcome Nick Wyman to Chew the Quarantine. There he is.
Hello. The most applause. Thank you.
Hooray!
So I will not call you Mr. Wyman.
I won't call you Molo.
But
I think I will call you Molo. I like that.
So so Nick is an actor. Network. You did Thenardier and Les Mis. Can you just, before we talk about your book, because that's really why I reached out to you, just let's give our listeners a little bit of your theatrical background.
It's endless because I'm old. I've done 16, I think, Broadway shows. Some blips and some long ones. I did Thenardier and Les Mis for 6 years. I was in the original Phantom of the Opera for like 2.25 years. I did Freddie and My Fair Lady with Rex Harrison. Not the original, please. Not the original. What else? I've done some plays too, doubles and musical comedy version of 1940 and Network just recently with Bryan Cranston. I bounce back and forth doing plays and musicals. I'm a dad. I have 3 kids who are now old and on their own and no longer, bleeding me dry with tuition. While they were younger, I stayed in New York, and I did not do a whole lot of traveling. I didn't do national tours, and I didn't do that much regional theater. I did work at the Guthrie and the Arena stage, and a bunch of times at the Hartford stage and places that were closer. But I've also done some TV and film, mostly, once again, sort of like if you reach for your popcorn at the wrong time, you miss my entire performance. I was I had a big part in the third Die Hard with a Vengeance, and and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is shows up every Thanksgiving. So yeah, I've been fortunate. I'm a working actor. I've been working for 45 years or whatever, and it's gone well, knock on wood, and I've enjoyed it, and I've had fun, usually at the expense of others. So it's all good.
That's the
Yeah.
way to be.
And-
Danny, do you have a question?
I was just gonna say, like, and I had mentioned to Nick before we went on the air that my first Broadway show was Les Mis, and he was Thénardier, and that's like, it's the best role in the show and a dream role for me. So to be able to see him play that role with just such talent was such a joy. So when Lauren told me you were coming on, I was like, wait a minute. He's Thénardier. I saw him in that. This is incredible. So thank you for that performance and just for all your work. So
Nice.
So Nick has this illustrious Broadway career, film, TV, and now you are an author. Is this your first book? And we're going to talk about that, climbing. You know what? I should have done the share screen. Climbing the Mountain of Rejection. Am I saying it wrong? I know. I meant to.
It's a very Japanese version of the title. It's Climbing Rejection Mountain, but yeah, that's close enough.
There you go. Yes. So is this your first time jumping into that author, wearing your author hat? Is this your first book?
It's my first book, although I did do wrote the intro for the history of Actors Equity that we put out for the Centennial in 2013 rather. And I wrote, when I was president of Actors Equity, I wrote a monthly column in Equity News. And I have in my time written a lot of speeches and that sort of thing. But this is my first book. Maybe my last book. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you're sold out apparently.
No. Hey, time out.
Okay.
This is just another gift from the COVID-19 virus. In that the publishers, I think, have pushed off the publication date. It was supposed to be yesterday.
Okay.
And I reached out to my editor saying, you're going to send me a bunch of these copies, right? And is this going to be available? Really? What's going on? I haven't even gotten a response for other than the boilerplate, because of the virus, we are blah, blah, blah. So, and then up until, Monday, the Amazon site and the bookshop.com site, and I recommend bookshop.com, will give more money for independent booksellers. But anyhow, they both said, oh, it's coming out tomorrow. And then it's, as of the morning of April 15th, that day, it said, oh, no, May sometime. So someday, perhaps, this century, you may be able to get a copy of this book. But it's
Oh, I know. It's so interesting, everything being put on a delay.
Mhm.
It's like we're literally living in a delayed world. So you wrote this book. What was the aha? What was the light bulb that you were like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write this book? Was it a combination of moments in life? Was it one moment?
I had some surgery on my feet that kept me off my feet for like 2.5 weeks or so. And so I started writing. I had, taught some scene study classes and tried to reach out. And when I talked to, I've talked to lots and lots of groups of young wannabe actors and young working actors and student actors. And I had sort of gotten my spiel down to a certain extent about the things I try and convey to folks and the mistakes I've made. And this is what I've learned. And I thought, well, what, in my experience, there are maybe far too many universities and colleges that give people a major in drama or musical theater or whatever. And so we're pumping out tens of thousands of, people who plan on making their living doing this. And the business can't absorb that many, for one thing. And the other thing is that while you're there at this conservatory or this university or whatever, you're learning your craft and you're working on scenes and you're working on, I feel the breeze, sort of thing, doing, I feel nothing. But it's what you don't learn is how this business works. and the things you need to do to be successful, and the things you need to do while you're not being successful to keep your sanity. And so that's what the book is sort of more about. It's certainly not about, how to be an actor, because I think if you've ever seen me perform, well, he knows nothing about that. But it is about how to make yourself best prepared for the opportunity of success. And while you're waiting for that to happen, to figure out how to, keep your calm, keep your cool, keep your self-esteem, keep your relationships, make yourself feel okay about the fact that, why don't I have so-and-so's career? Why am I not, on top of the world? There's some old fart advice in there, and some, some wisdom I've learned about trying to struggle. And, I'm someone who people say to me, you work all the time. And by the standards of our industry, I do. But when you're living inside my skin, you're well aware of the times when, geez, it's been 9 months since I had any sort of like a stage thing. And I've done that one radio spot, and my wife is saying, there's a job for a night manager at the local CVS. Why don't you go? So, and it's like, okay, kids, it's peanut butter sandwiches again. Yay. It's the business is rough, difficult / impossible. So it's really hard to keep your certainly your joy, but even your sense of willingness to keep going. So
how are you feeling being in quarantine right now?
How am I doing in quarantine?
Yes.
I'm doing fantastically, because I'm an insensitive so-and-so, and I just don't care about other people, and I'm fine. So well, go ahead.
I meant what are you doing creatively? So you have your book. You did say you were no stranger to Zoom. So are you doing, are you teaching via Zoom? What are you doing to keep your, everything you said, even though the whole world is shut down, what are you doing for yourself to keep your creativeness going?
My creativeness is sort of it's hibernating at the moment, to a certain extent. Two things I'm doing. One, I am doing some Zoom classes, reaching out to some of my friends that are teaching their own classes, and I'm coming on doing a master class, or doing a quick Q&A for students, and doing that. The other thing I'm doing is I'm working on a screenplay with one of my best pals, and we're hammering something out, or we're hammering at each other saying, no, that's a terrible idea, I think. But it's been enjoyable just to spend time with him on Zoom. The other thing I'm doing, basically, what I'm focused on is of being a good husband, hanging out with my wife and taking care of her. I make a joke about, I'm insensitive, I just don't care. But the truth is I am blessed with a remarkable equanimity. I and a good sense of optimism. I feel like, hey, I'm going to get through this. We're going to be okay. Things will turn out fine. I'm a lucky guy, and I tend to stay lucky. And I've been very fortunate in my acting career, and that good fortune over the last 45 years has put me in a place now where I don't, I'm not anxious personally about when my next acting job is coming along. I'm fine. If it's a year, 2 years, 10 years, I'm fine. I'm a guy in 12-step programs, so I mentor, I sponsor a bunch of folks, I talk to them. I'm also, I'm a trustee of the pension and health funds. And there's a corollary to the just terrifying despair that so many actors are going through, as to, my God, I have no money coming in. And not only do I not have an acting job, I don't have my day job. And I don't know where the money's coming from. And this effing stimulus check hasn't even shown up yet, and I can't get on the unemployment. I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. And it's terrifying. It's very, very frightening. And the corollary is that the health fund, which is here to help the actors and to take care of them, so they know if I go to the hospital or I go see the doctor, my bills, or at least a portion of them, are going to be paid. The health fund is in a similar sort of terrifying state in that it has no money coming in. There are no shows being done. There are no no employer contributions coming in. The union has actually waived the employee, the member contributions for the next 3 months. And so there's no money coming in. And on top of that, we have this sudden increased usage of people who suddenly need, I need this health insurance, I'm using it more. And every, if you go into the hospital for this, COVID thing, and they need to take care of you with any sort of serious way, it's like $70,000. Wow. So it's a chunk of money that's coming out of the union. And on top of that, so you have no money coming in, bills coming in, increased bills, and we also, because the way our health fund works is you earn coverage and then it lasts for 6 months or a year. So we have all these people who have earned or are earning coverage who we need to cover for the rest of the year for 2021. So we have all these bills to pay now and bills to pay in the future, the health fund. So and there's no money coming in. And so we have reserves, or like what the savings would be for actors. And unlike me, certainly, I don't know how other actors are, but I'm like, oh, I'm going to make more money tomorrow. I don't need to put money into savings. The health fund has put aside, a chunk of money to take care of this, but that chunk of money is drifting down. So I am working with the other trustees trying to figure out how we can take care of and support the members who are currently struggling with this thing right now, and also take care and support them in the future to make sure there's a health fund down the road to take care of them. So that's taking care of a certain amount of my creativity.
Well, they're fortunate to have you. And you had mentioned that you were president of Actors Equity. And before we came on, we were talking about that, how what a time to be leading that organization, where they're dealing with actors that are out of work all the time, but to now have all these actors out of work just is so challenging. Talk a little bit about the work that you've done with AEA.
When I was back in 1987, 88, 87, I think it was. 87. I was cast in the original Phantom of the Opera, and I was looking forward to doing this. This is going to be cool. Hey, not necessarily a huge big break for me, but it was like, this is going to be a gem of a role. I'm going to be seen by everybody and their uncle. And the union said, we don't feel that Sarah Brightman, the wife of the composer Andrew Lloyd Webber, is a star, so we're not going to let her come over as a star. And so Cameron McIntosh and Andrew Lloyd Webber said, well, then we're not going to bring our goddamn show there. We're going to take it to Toronto or something. And I'm like, wait a moment. No, I'm here. I can't go to Toronto. Who's doing this? Who's making these decisions? So I joined the production contract committee, which oversees the Broadway shows, and what was called the Aliens Committee, now called the International Actors Committee, which oversees the process whereby international actors are allowed into the city or not allowed into the country. And I, got a little involved in the mechanics of, committees at Equity. And a guy who was on council at the time, a guy named Patrick Quinn, who had coincidentally replaced me when I refused to do the tour on the 20th century. That was going out on a national tour, because as I said earlier, I don't like to do national tours. I like to stay home with my family. So he said, you should run for council. We need working actors on council. So I ran for council, and I was elected in 1988, and I was on council basically until I lost the election for re-election for president in 2015. So like 27 years. And during that time, I learned a lot about how things work, and it's a challenge. It's a remarkable challenge. In the course of the time that I was on council, the union became much less blatantly New York centric. It still is New York centric. I mean, it's all about New York, but we now have counselors from all across the country. From counselors from not necessarily Chicago, LA, but also like Kansas City and South Florida and whatever. So there are people representing the disparity of actors around the country who make their livings in a whole variety of different ways. It's also something that has been sort of more focused on, I think, the people who earn their living doing this, and the people who make their, make money on Broadway and make money on national tours and whatever. And I've tried to make sure that we balance that with, with looking after the folks who are just doing the occasional job here and there, but identify as equity actors and maintain a strong connection to the union, but they haven't had the success, the fortune that I have had or others have had. And it's a challenge. I mean, I talked about, in my book, how I try and advise people how to keep their spirits up. I mean, that was sort of my job as president, is when you have 50,000 members, and in the course of any one year, 17,000 of them work, so 2/3 of the actors are not working during the course of that year at all on stage things. So it's tough to feel okay about yourself. And I would constantly, reassure folks, you're okay, you're enough, you're doing fine, you're way ahead of, you had that card, that amazing card in your wallet that marks you as a professional actor. That gives you a leg up on all sorts of folks. So it's a bit of a cheerleader, I guess, is part of what I had to do. And my heart goes out to the leadership of Actors Equity now, because if it's hard to be a cheerleader when 2/3 of the actors are out of work, it's really hard when 100% are out of work. So it's a tough time.
And I think it's really hard when a lot of them are living by themselves in apartments in NYC. And when you walk out of your apartment and there's no one on the street, that I think that adds to people's discontentment. Is that the word I'm looking for? So I think we have these actors that are living alone. They're stuck in their apartments. I've Zoomed with some a couple times. I've actually met some actors that I've never, or some friends on Facebook that I've never met in my life. And we've done like a shot. They're like, does anyone want to do a shot? And I do it because I know they're by themselves. I'm quarantined with people. You're quarantined with someone, but some of these people aren't. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go on. I'll have a cocktail with you. And you could see that they're still trying. They're still creating. I don't want to say they're trying. They're doing it. And I'm amazed at how quickly we have been able to adapt to this. It's hard. We're figuring it out, like Bob Carr said last week. But I'm seeing my one friend's a puppeteer. He does a children's show every week. Like, I'm like, actors and artists. I'm so blessed to be a part of this community, because I'm really, really admiring how everyone's trying to create what our new normal is going to be, because I don't think we're going to go back to the old way. I think it's going to be a mix of two different realities.
Quite possibly. And I think you're right that I think actors are forced by their choice of vocations to become pretty used to adversity and pretty used to, A, not being, not working, and B, having to figure out, all right, how am I gonna get through this day, and what am I gonna do? And it's also, though, you mentioned it's tough, because I think what draws us to be actors or stage managers is the sense of community, a sense of family, of where you join a show and you become so close over the course of those few weeks. And then you go off and you start another family someplace. And sometimes you stay really, really tight with some of those people, and sometimes they just drift away, and then you see them again, and it's great. I think this is an opportunity for us to reach out to the folks that we haven't touched base with in a while and say, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
So.
And are you finding that more now? Like, it's interesting. This is what I'm so fascinated by, that get offline. Like, before this all happened, get offline, go do theater, go listen to a band. But now everyone's online. But I'm feeling, and I guess because crisis brings out how people really are, I'm finding that people are really connecting, really investing in each other. Not that they didn't do it before, but I think we were always on the go. So everyone was like ships passing in the night, going to work. But now we're all kind of on a sabbatical, I guess, a life sabbatical. And I'm like, I'm ready for this to be over. I'm not going to lie, but I'm enjoying watching people connect, tap into new things that they've never tapped into. Like, you're doing laundry. I mean, maybe you never did laundry, Nick. I don't know.
I do laundry all the time. But what you say sparked off one of my things is that there are two things in our lives that we focus on. There's the important and there's the urgent. And frequently the important, it's like, yeah, I got to do that, but I have to do the urgent right now. And the important, sometimes you don't get to the important ever, but certainly you get kicked down the road. I love what you said about, don't wait, do. Loma. So it's what this crisis has done. It's sort of like it said, that urgent stuff is gone. Sorry, it's gone. Nothing urgent. Okay, so what's important? So you look at what's important. What's important to me is my wife and my relationship to her, and taking care of her and being a good husband. Taking care of my union and its members. Reaching out to friends. It's a chance to. There are so many things that urgently call to us that we get. Oh, I have to do that next thing. Yeah, I have to do this next thing. So, now it's like there's none of that stuff, and it's sort of like you have no excuse not to do the thing you said you really wanted to do, or that was really important to you. So we have a chance to take a look at those things and discover, well, maybe that isn't really important to me. Maybe that's not what's important. Maybe there's something else that's important. I bet there are a lot of people who are writing a screenplay or writing a book. There we go. And there are lots of folks who are reaching out to relatives they don't call that often.
Yeah.
People who are reaching out to friends that I'll see them around, but you're not going to see them around. So you got to take the step to actually pick up. Hey, it's Danny. Hey, it's Nick. Hey, it's Loma. And it's you realize that's what's important is connection, is other people. And,
Absolutely.
So Nick, what are you binge watching anything? What's like your go-to quarantine snack?
Yeah,
I am the dirt, Nick. Give us the dirt.
I am up to I'm down. I was at 220 when this thing started. I went up to about 230. I'm down to 226. That's it. So I'm eating more than I planned to eat. I'm not getting as much exercise as I planned to get. In terms of like snacks, I don't know, apples, string cheese. I try to be healthy, but I did make cookies at one point, and that was in the 30 the 10 pound. But binge watching, I'm sort of deferring to my wife as to what she wants to watch. We have we're in the midst of Unorthodox at the moment.
Oh yeah, good.
We watched some Fleabag. I'm trying to get her to go back to The Good Place.
Nice.
She likes to watch comedians, guys who'll make her laugh. Tom Papa, it's very funny. I like him.
She's got you.
Pardon? She's got me, right? But
you. I mean, just talking to you, we could just see how important humor is,
but I'm a delight for half an hour. After 40 years, I begin to pale on you. I worry. So,
I look like dreamy. I'm like listening to everything you're saying. So I just realized I'm like this close. But so from your book, I know you might not want to give away any details, but I love how
there are no details.
No spoilers, but I love how you mentioned, I was laughing when you're like, I am the breeze, I am nothing, because yes, all that stuff we've all done, I went to Lee Strasberg, I did all that stuff, but my regret is I never took a business class, because I think every acting student or any artist should be required to take a business class, because I'm learning because I have to, but I love how you mentioned this is not acting tips. This is how to navigate through the business, because I think some of us get so caught up in the art that we forget that it's show business. So is there any like little tidbit that you can give us from the book? I mean, a small little
teaser.
A little teaser.
Well, I think what what I talk, one of the things I talk about a lot to students have also is what I call the 4 questions, which is you have to know your product, know what you're selling. And so ask yourself these 4 questions. Number 1, what's my long suit? What am I cast for? What is my overriding attribute? Who I am is a figure of authority and power and a certain amount of judgmentalism. I'm an asshole in a suit. I'm the boss. I'm the CEO. I'm the doctor. I'm the lawyer. I'm the guy who is like, you know, not terribly friendly, but he has the answers and he's a little dismissive of you. That's what I play. That's my niche. That's my go-to. That's my long suit. So question number 2 is, what actor has your career? What actor, he may be your age, he may be 5 years older, 10 years older, 15 years older, but plays your parts. And he could look like you. He could be, you know, like Max von Sydow or Fred Gwynne or Donald Sutherland. For me, but it's who is your persona, your type? What actor has that? Plays your roles that if you had been around 10 years ago, you would have done that role. Or people might say, you remind me of such and such, which can be a physical thing, or it could be just sort of your persona. The third thing is, what roles you did solid hammer on the head of the nail perfect for? What roles that you will knock out of the park. If you could just get me in that room, you know, and they see, oh, that's the guy we've been looking for. That's the woman, that's the girl. What roles are you perfect for? And the fourth question is, you know, what are your dream roles? What are the things you'd love to have a shot at playing? And they can be things that you're really right for, or things that you're not really right for, or just things that, you know, that would be cool to do. I'm never going to do that, but that would be cool. So the first 3 questions are who you are and what you're selling. And you need to know that. And you need to figure out, okay, because that's how you're going to make your entrance into this business. You are not going to be probably cast in your first role for something you're wildly wrong for. It's going to be something that you are the sharp edge of your talent. So get that job and then spread out from there. And when you go and talk to an agent or a manager or somebody who is going to represent you, you want to make sure that person's answers to those 3 questions are the same as yours. Because if you see yourself as a femme fatale and he sees you as the girl next door, there's going to be a disconnect there. There's going to be a problem. So that's one of the things I talk about in the book.
Yeah, that's so important too. You know, I think even as actors, there's roles that you think you're right for, but you know, 20 years from now, you're going to be right for that role. So
which is the thing that young actors, you know, sort of you fall into the trap of, you think, oh, I was fantastic as Sheridan Whiteside, and the man who came to dinner, and you think, yes, but you know what? You're 23 and the business has hundreds of 50-year-old curmudgeons. They don't need you and your shoe polish and your hair to come out and do it. So, you know, that's not your role.
Right.
And I had thought, because I am a powerful, you know, tall, imposing figure, I thought, you know, I'm not going to get anything to do until I'm in my, you know, 30s or something, probably. So I gave myself to 30 to succeed in this business, and managed to con my way into a few jobs before then, so it all worked out.
Is there any? I was just gonna say, is there any dream roles for you? What role is out there that you're still waiting to play?
I'm too old to play anything but Polonius and Farapont, and you know, because there aren't a whole lot of. I would like to play. I'd like to get a shot at Sweeney Todd. I'd like to get a shot at Henry Higgins. I'd like to get a shot. There's some Shaw roles I'd like to play. But you know, at this point, I'm like, hey, whatever comes along, I'm happy to do. I now look forward to being part of. I don't have to be the star. The last thing I was doing just before, you know, the virus shut everything down, I was in previews for a play called Help at the Shed in Hudson Yards. And it's by this playwright, Claudia Rankin, who was a MacArthur Fellow, genius grant woman. I mean, amazing poet, a Black woman who teaches at Yale. And it's about white male privilege. And I don't know why they picked me to be someone who was, somehow they did. So anyhow, I was the, one of the reasons I love this is that the title, my role, I was white man number 8. And I thought, I can't wait to put this on my resume. White man number 8, you know, better than when I was in the original cast of Assassins, where I was bystander number 1, you know, things like that. So anyhow, that was a role where it was one Black woman, Rosalind Ruff, who's wonderful, and 19 white guys. and numbers 1 through 19. And we were all part of an ensemble of trying to tell this story about white male privilege. And it was a really wonderful, useful, important story to tell. And I was just delighted to be part of that family. And I was not, I had some nice stuff to do, but I was not the star of the thing. That was Rosalind. So it was great. It was great to do. I am not looking for, I just need this one girl that's going to give me my break. I've had my breaks. I've had my time. I'm now happily, coasting through life with my pensions and my garden. So.
Well, now that we have you in the Zoom room,
Yes.
I would like to know, what would you cast me as? Just curious. I know, I want to know. I'm we've been chatting. And I'm curious, and I'll tell you the roles that I tend to get, but I'm curious to know.
Aldonza. Maybe with a couple of warts, you could play what's her face in Passion.
Oh yes.
Yes.
I don't know. You have this gypsy, fiery woman sort of as
yes.
So.
Danny has seen me perform. I tend to play very sexy characters, very manipulative characters, very not good, not bad, like the anti-hero, out for herself type character, strong. I generally do not get cast as, I would never be Laura. I mean, I'm too old for that anyway. I would never be Laura in the Glass Menagerie. I don't, I look very ethnic, but
be Amanda. You could be Amanda.
I could be Amanda, and Amanda is actually, my mom did a monologue. My mom has passed away, but my mom was an actor, and she did this night years ago. Million years ago, this night of Tennessee Williams, and she was a good Amanda.
Cool.
The strength of Amanda. So that, yeah, I was just curious because I'm am I going for the right roles? I think I am.
All right, I guess you got to do me now.
Yeah, what about Danny?
Okay, all right. Terence Mcnally.
Okay.
Used to write, before he started writing for Nathan Lane, used to write for an actor named James Coco. I'm sure he's before your time, but he was a little roly-poly, very funny. So early Terence Mcnally plays have great Danny roles in them.
You said James Coco?
James Coco, C-O-C-O, yeah.
I'm gonna look him up.
Danny has great, he played, you were Laurel, right?
I was Hardy.
He was Hardy, and
Yeah.
he has great timing. Danny has great physicality on stage and great timing, and he nailed every single one of those jokes.
Oh, that would be cool. I would love to see that. I also love to see him play Thenardier. So, there's no one.
I would love to play that. I would love to play that.
Danny is I love watching Danny on stage. He sings and everything. Oh, sorry. I'm getting everyone's messaging me. I'm can't you see I'm on Facebook Live right now? So first of all, Nick is from New Jersey, which was another win for us, Danny. A Jersey boy through and through. Nick, what would you like to say, leave us with these parting words in the quarantine? What would you like to say to anyone, actors, artists, people that are just, we don't know when this is going to end, so we're all just kind of waiting.
Yeah, but a very wise woman once said, "Don't wait, do." So that was Lomo, in case you didn't get that pathetic suck-up moment.
Molo.
Or Molo, as we call it. But I guess this is, as I said, it's a terrifying time. It's existential. It's my God, I could be dead in a month. I don't know what's going to happen. And people I love could be dead. And the business I love is currently dead. I hope it's just in a coma. I hope it's going to come back, but it's very frightening. It's also, though, an opportunity. It's an opportunity with all that urgency stuff taken away, to take a look at, okay, what's important? What is important to me? Who's important to me? What do I want to do? What if I always said I wanted to do, but I've never done because I had all these other things I had to do? Suddenly you don't have to do those things. So what are you going to do? And I think it's a time for people to, in the absence of all this, input that normally comes flying at us, 24/7, to sort of take a look at, okay, what do I want to be connected to? Who do I want to be connected to? And how do I want to spend my time? And so do some exploring, probably, inside yourself, probably not outside in the outside world, but do some exploring in yourself and figure out what you want. And the other thing I would say is figure out what you can do for other people. That's, you may not have, piles of money that you can give to people. It's hard to sort of like donate your time and energy in this social distancing era, but there are things you can do. Be of service. That's one of the things I talk about in the book. Is that there's a wonderful quote from Rabindranath Tagore, this sort of Indian mystic sort of guy, who says, "I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I woke and found that life was service. I acted and found that service was joy." And in my experience, service is joy. That's one of the reasons why I was president. It's one of the reasons why I try and be a good husband. I hope you all, whoever you are, all three of you who are watching this Facebook Live.
We had more. We did have more.
Okay, whoever.
We get our watchers later. We get a lot more watchers at the end of the day.
Whoever you are, I hope you find your opportunity for service. That's all.
Oh, thank
That's
you
wonderful.
so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that we were able to throw this together. I talked to Danny and I was like, I get so nervous about the tech. He's like, you always get nervous about the tech and it always works out good. I look forward to being able to purchase your book when it is available sometime in the near future.
Sometime in May, we think. Okay,
And I look forward to like more, more connection, maybe
Absolutely.
more communication with you and, jumping back into theater and going to see shows. Danny and I, we go see stuff a lot together. So we're just waiting.
I'm like a bad penny. I turn up all the time. So you'll have an opportunity to see me. If you want to drag me back onto a live stream, happy to do it. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe, maintain the distance, wear a mask.
Yes.
All that stuff.
Thank you so much, Nick.
You're so
Thank
welcome.
you so much, Nick.
Take care.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. My heart was like when he was.
Right? We were like, this is us the whole time.
I know. I was like this the whole time.
Oh,
Just like what?
That was like everything I expected and even more than that. I mean, he's what a great individual, so genuine. I mean, and if you're fortunate enough to see him perform, I feel like that's what he's giving on stage as well. It was great. While you were setting up the Facebook Live, we were chatting off air.
No, I heard you guys and I was like loving it.
Yeah, and he was like, "What do you tell me about you? Where do you live? What do you do?" And I was like, "Wow." I mean, we don't always get that. We don't always get that.
No, I thought I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, he's so genuine and so real, and it makes sense why he would be the president of an actors union and how he's still working on it. And I love how he talked about service is joy. And I feel like, isn't that what we do as artists?
Mm-hmm.
We're providing a service because it brings, of course it's bringing us joy, but it's bringing joy to other people, especially during these times. So
yeah, it's definitely it's collective joy.
Yeah.
We're giving joy, then they're receiving joy, and then they're cycling their joy back to us. So it's this constant cycle. I love those tips he gave, like, basically know your type is what he was saying.
You know what? And it's so true about what you were saying. Why do they not have actors take business classes?
I wish I did that. I mean, I'm figuring it out, but I wish I was figuring it out 20 years ago.
So I looked up real quick James Coco.
Yes, James Coco's a great actor.
And there's a resemblance.
Yes, I could see that. I could see
I'm also, you know, I melted inside when he said that he would love to see me as Hardy, but also as Thenardier.
I would love to see you as Thenardier and Lori
as
because you know what, when you guys did that Christmas story,
well, when we were the Fezziwigs,
yes, I felt like you were like the Thenardiers.
Yeah, they totally are like the Thenardiers. We would. I know she would
selfie with him. Oh,
I know she would love to play that part. So
who? Lori?
And I mean, like, and it's so funny because, like, what was the first Broadway show you saw?
Peter Pan with Sandy Duncan.
Right? And you're always going to remember that.
So I remember her flying over the audience. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. And for me, it was Les Mis. I remember I was in high school. It was with English class. And I just remember, him. I mean, he's tall.
He said in the costume, he has that, you know, that present.
He was very, very funny.
I wonder if I saw him. I saw him in 6th grade, which was 80. Nick, are you still there? 80. 9. Oh, he is.
Is he?
Nick, were you in Les Mis in 1980? Wait.
No.
Not in the 80s?
97 through 2003.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's you. Wait, I want to. Can someone?
I saw it in 99. I saw it in 99.
Danny, can you get us? Wait, Nick, come back on for 1 second. I'm breaking the rules. Can you take a picture of us? We didn't do our picture.
Oh,
can
God.
you do that?
We're here like we didn't know you were still on. We're like fangirling over here.
I know. He's like hearing us. All right, ready?
Keeping people fangirl. That's nice. Okay.
All right, thank you. Tag me.
We'll see whether it comes out. The focus may have been bad. I didn't have my glasses on. Anyhow, this was lovely. I am now actually going to leave the meeting. Wish you well with your next one, and we will see one another again. All right.
We will. It's gonna happen.
We will. Take care.
Bye,
Thank you
Nick.
so much.
That was so funny. I'm breaking the rules. Come back.
I just like how we're like here, like he's so nice. Oh my gosh! And then all of a sudden it's like he's still here.
I'm not afraid to gush. I'm not afraid to gush, everyone. So this was
seriously that was one of our faves. I feel.
I was like this. I mean, I was
think that we did it on Zoom.
I love it. Oh my gosh. His voice, I mean, everything. I know I'm gushing, but I just felt like it was like a warm hug.
And he's so funny. Like, I mean, I'm sure like when he was talking about just being optimistic during this time.
I know.
And I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, that's what you need.
You know what? And you know what else I loved? I love him when he was like, I don't care how big my parts are. Like there's like certain, like when I rewatch, because I always rewatch once they're reposted. When I rewatch it, I want to take some notes for my students, and I want to talk to them about it for our class on Tuesday.
I mean, and he's had such a like illustrious career.
I know.
You know? Like, I mean, he's like, I'm not looking for my big break. I've had my breaks, and I'm just looking. He's a working actor, and it's just, you know what? He's looking for good work. You know, he just wants to do good work, which I think is just speaks volumes to him.
But don't you feel the same? Wouldn't you rather have a smaller part or a smaller position in a great project than the lead in something that's like, eh?
It's true. I mean, it's why like regional theaters, there's a lot of like regional theater actors, and just, you know, they want to work and make a living, and it's a career, you know, it's, you know, they want to constantly be working. I loved how he talked about too, how people say he's so busy, but to him, you know, in his head, he's like, well, it's been 9 months since I've done a show, you know, like I need to be doing something. And doesn't that keep you young too? I mean, just constantly going and working and thinking about that, and just not sitting back and waiting for opportunities to come to you. You're going to get them.
But and isn't it so funny how like you and I had this conversation, like when people are like, oh my God, Lauren goes out so much, and you're like, no, she doesn't.
Yeah.
You're like, she's just posting when she goes out.
Yeah,
You're like,
well, it's how many times people are like, oh, like I love following you. You do so many amazing things. And I'm like, not really. I just post the good stuff.
yeah, I was gonna post, but like mostly, like what have I been doing in quarantine for 5 weeks? Baking, eating, hanging out with my
You're
family.
baking bread every day. Like
But every day, who am I? I want to build a garden bed outside so I
could you
can
imagine
like.
if you were could you imagine if you were like posting your bread every day? No, I mean like you're gonna share what you want to share. And I mean if you're gonna be out there sharing like negative stuff, that's your choice, but that's not what we want to share. That's our
No,
you know?
yeah, I mean, if people want to share negative, if they need to, I know I don't like to share negative stuff because it definitely makes me feel anxious. Because then you get all the responses,
Yep.
and then it becomes like this virus, like the back and forth. Just like the
Yeah.
cycle of joy, the giving of the joy. If you're passing out negativity, then that person's going to be negative, and then it comes back to you. It's the same thing, people.
Yeah, you're just like so many times I find myself being like, do I want to comment on that? Do I want to engage right now? Nope.
Nope, you're like scroll on by.
Yeah.
So next week, I think we could wind up. This was I was just so relaxed. I was a nervous wreck, as Danny always knows. I got freaking like crazy with this.
You know what? I think you were smart about what you did. You had him come on early.
Yeah, just because I didn't want to be like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I never know what's going to happen because the world just changes so quickly and abruptly. So I just thought it was better to have him come on early. But next week we have my friend Drew Mcbeady. Drew is a Broadway actor. He's a friend. He's
He's
chef.
also a Chew the Scene alum. He's been on before.
He has been on. He was like on our first season. So he's I'm going to post more of the information, and I totally butchered Nick's book name. Thank you for not hating me, Nick. I don't want to butcher Drew's new show, but Drew is in Bandstand, which you saw. Paper Mill, I saw it on Broadway. He was in the front page, which we're doing a play reading of this weekend. So yeah.
Right? Wasn't he in he was on The Last Ship. I'm sorry, The Last Ship.
The Last Ship. That's how I met him on my birthday. He introduced me. He's very good to me. He has gorgeous children. And I just love him. And he's been like, I've known him for a long time. So he'll be joining us next week. Who knows who's going to join us the week after? We don't know.
We never know.
But I think we're ready to be done. I don't know how to do this. What do I do?
Kev's gonna play some music, play us out.
Kev, you there? Did you fall asleep? There we go. That's a good one.
I don't have it ready.
It's okay. We could
We could do no music. We could do no music.
We're gonna play the instrumental of our song.
I know. I gotta find it now.
Gotta find it. We threw him for a loop.
We did. We were like, I think I like the
We'll see you next week.
I want us to figure out with our theme song. I think we should like figure some Zoom stuff out. Like, like I point to you and then you point to me and we mouth.
No, I was thinking that
choreography.
Or like something like this. Ready? I just popped in.
Did you see what I did? I went like,
yeah. Oh, I lost you. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, like something like we can do this, Danny.
Hey. Hey. The show is going off the rails right now.
We are going off the rails because we're waiting for Kevin to play us out.
Oh, you're still waiting for that? I thought we were going to ignore it. Oh my God.
We could just do that. We could hum it. Ready?
No, I'll do it.
No.
Oh my God, you guys are loony. Hold on, give me 30 seconds.
We're in quarantine, and I'm waiting for my gluten coffee delivery.
Oh, wait, you ordered from Gluten Coffee?
I ordered beans.
Let's close up your eyes. Get real close. Oh my God, I'm like.
It's such a weird angle when you're that close, though.
It kind of like hurts your eyes because you're like really.
You need to get a ring light.
I know.
I sent you the thing for it.
Listen. You order things on Amazon. It takes like a month.
All right. Are you ready to be done with this?
Go.
Here we go.
Bye.
Bye, guys. See you next week.